If you don't know Prize Picks, best daily fantasy game in America, play $5, get $50 instantly. Use the code STAPLES when you sign up. Ari, you mentioned this earlier. Would there be an Arch Manning Demon Square? We mentioned it yesterday. There is an Arch Manning Demon Square. 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. Ari, we saw it against Texas A&M. I want to take everybody back to 2006. If you're too young to remember 2006, I'll give you a little history lesson. In 2006, the Florida Gators won the national title. They had a senior starting quarterback named Chris Leak. He was a pretty good quarterback. He was not viewed as high a ceiling a quarterback as the freshman they had on the team named Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow had this role carved out for him early in the season. It started at Tennessee when he converted a 4th and 1. But he's basically the mauler in short yardage, which they then made some tweaks to where they brought him in and you thought he was going to maul you in short yardage. And like against LSU, he throws the pop pass to take Casey. Arch Manning, because of Quinn Ewers' bum ankle, has become the Tim Tebow in this equation. Like, who had running quarterback Arch Manning on their bingo card before this season, Ari?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you bring up Tebow and Leak because Tebow is basically Mike Allstott for the first half of it.
Exactly. That's not what Arch Manning doesn't look like that at all, but he's a good runner. And he scored, it worked against Texas. He got in the end zone.
Yeah, and you also
don't against really Texas A&M.
You don't have to preserve him this year because, he's a backup quarterback and he doesn't, you can put some mileage on him this year. I mean, this is when you would do it. It is interesting to me because Texas, if you have watched them play since the Georgia game, I think that we assumed, especially with how well they played at Michigan when we went to that game, that Texas was just going to have a air it out, cannot be stopped offense. And if you go look at their receiving numbers, their number one receiving weapon, or at least reliability wise, is Gunnar Helm, their tight end. Mm-hmm. They are not an explosive, will score a shit ton of points on whoever they play type of team. And Quinn Ewers has had his moments this year of great, right? Like he always does, but he's also had his moments of why is he on the field right now? And you are playing for the SEC championship against a team that you had a hard time with, at least offensively, for an entire first half on your own field. It makes a lot of sense to me that you would use somebody in a role like this that has an ability to change the way your offense functions. And if that person also happens to be your future quarterback who has a really good arm, the package lends itself to variability. You put them in, you can't 100% sell out for the run. When Tim Tebow came in, and if I'm remembering this, you covered it, right? I mean, I was 06. Yep. I was 19.
I was in every game. Yep.
Everybody knew what he was doing. And then that's how the pop pass was invented, right? Because
every
single time.
Exactly. Until they didn't. They also did it in the national title game where he threw a touchdown pass to Andre Caldwell.
Yeah. And it's 4th and 1 or 3rd and inches or whatever. Tebow's in the game. He runs towards the line, stops, jumps, and tosses it over.
Yeah. That's they broke that out against LSU and it was magical. And so here's the other part of this. Georgia lost to Alabama in part because they couldn't contain Jalen Milroe on design QB runs and scrambles. Arch Manning is not Jalen Milroe in terms of speed. But when you have the design QB run in your playbook, when you have legitimate read option, like when the quarterback puts the ball in the back's belly and there's a legitimate chance the quarterback will pull and keep it, it changes your rules defensively. It causes you to have to worry about things. It takes one more person to deal with it. So that's why Arch Manning now has a Prize Pick square, 0.5 rushing receiving TDs. It's a demon square, so potential higher payout if he gets it. So do you think he's going to score a touchdown, essentially, on the ground or catching the ball? Now, if they go pop pass,
you don't get it.
You're out because he's throwing one. But I am fascinated by this dynamic because Arch Manning as the Tim Tebow and Quinn Ewers as the Chris Leak is not at all what I envisioned would happen this season, but that is what it is going into the freaking SEC championship game against Georgia. So, Prize Picks app, download it. Use the code Staples, play $5, get $50 instantly. Decide if you want to take that Arch Manning square.